Today I'm going to talk about why your engine runs warm when idling in traffic or at highway speeds. We're going to talk about what is really an overheating concern and what is just an engine running warm on a warm day. And we're going to discuss things that need to be checked to help reduce the chances of your engine getting too hot. Thanks for joining us today on Mopar Garage. I'm the Professor. There's a couple concerns with the gauge we're using. It's a factory gauge, in this case a 67 Dart. How do I know what temperature the engine's running? It normally runs right around E, under temp. But now all of a sudden it creeps up to M when I'm in traffic on an extremely hot day. Is it overheating? Now it shoots all the way past H. Well, we got a problem. But we still don't know what temperature the engine's running. It's not an accurate gauge. If this is what you're using to determine if your engine is boiling over or overheating or just running warm, it's not very accurate. What does overheating actually mean? Hot does not mean overheating. The biggest mistake people make is confusing temperature with overheating. A 180-degree thermostat opens around 180. It'll operate between 195 and 210 degrees Fahrenheit, and 220 or 230 degrees Fahrenheit is not a failure. The engine does not overheat because the temperature reaches a certain number. It overheats when the cooling system can no longer maintain that temperature. A cooling system with 50-50 mix of water and ethylene glycol will have a boiling point protection of around 220 to 225. Add on top of that a pressure cap that's operating properly, and on our Mopars it'll be 18 psi. On other manufacturers it'll be 14, 15, and maybe 18. We're going to be adding somewhere between 45 and 55 degrees of boilover protection on top of that 220. So now you're looking at 265 to 275 boilover protection. If your engine's running at 230 and it's steady, not creeping upward, there's nothing wrong with your cooling system. So how do I know if I'm really overheating? Well, you'd see coolant boiling out onto the ground on the old cars, just coming out of the top tank and dripping on the ground, or the overflow tank will have coolant boiling in it. Steam escaping from the radiator or the hoses, persistent coolant losses, detonation caused by excessive combustion chamber temperatures. We're not taking the heat out. Temperatures that continue to climb without stabilizing. Those are all overheating concerns. Why would my car overheat at idling, but not when I'm driving down the road? Well, in bumper-to-bumper traffic when idling, there's minimal airflow, just the fan. Is your fan operating properly? Is the clutch operating properly? Do you have the correct fan on your car? Do you have a shroud? What happens is the fan may not be spinning at optimal RPM. You've got exhaust heat building up in the engine bay, and the engine heat soaks. Your muscle car actually has the easiest job for cooling when it's driving down the road. The most difficult time it has is in 95-degree weather with air conditioning on. There's not a lot of airflow at idle, AC's on, there's a lot of heat load. Why does it cool off when we cruise down the road? The vehicle's got air being pushed through the front of it. The radiator receives maximum amount of cooling air, and the fan doesn't have to work as hard. The radiator cap is one of the most misunderstood parts of the car. By putting the cap on, as we explained, we raise the boiling point well above the operating temperature of the engine. Provided the cap can maintain pressure, we should have a system that operates flawlessly. A 15, 16, 18 pound cap is going to greatly increase the boilover protection. Seeing 220 on a gauge does not mean the coolant is boiling. So what actually causes an engine to overheat, exceed the 265, 275 degrees of boil over protection? Number one, and always my favorite, ignition timing. One of the biggest causes of overheating is incorrect timing. Retarded timing equals more exhaust heat. That means more engine bay heat. That means more heat going out of the head, burning in the manifold. Inefficient. Poor combustion efficiency. Hot exhaust manifolds. All of those are going to be part of your ignition timing concerns. You need to get your timing straight. We've gone over this in several videos. You need to get your base time correct, your centrifugal advance correct, and your vacuum advance, because you are running vacuum advance on the street, correct? Concern number two, missing the fan shroud. If your vehicle came with a fan shroud, it better have one on there. It better be in excellent shape, no cracks, no snaps, no breaks, bolted solidly to the radiator. That is an important piece of your cooling system. Now your fan, is it the correct blade count? You didn't switch from a rigid blade to a flex blade. If it has a clutch on, is the clutch working? Is the fan engaged properly into the shroud? So much of the blade is in, so much of the blade is out of the shroud. Is the spacing between your radiator core surface and the blades or the fan housing sufficient? The fan does not cool the radiator. The fan moves air through the radiator. Without the shroud, much of the air movement happens around the radiator rather than through it. How about your seals on the underside of the hood and other areas around the radiator? The ducting going to the condenser and radiator. Is all of that in place? If that's missing, you've got air escaping around rather than through the radiator. Problem number three, incorrect water pump. Do you have the correct water pump? Serpentine style water pumps spin backwards, V-belts spin in the opposite direction. Did you change the pulleys? The water pump pulley, the crankshaft pulley? The ratios are different now. You may have slowed the pump down. That can lead to heating problems. Impellers. You have an AC car, a non-AC car. The water pump on the engine will be different than the non-AC car. Did you put the wrong water pump on? Is your water pump leaking? Drippage out of the weep hole, and my personal belief, is a leak, and the water pump must be replaced. Some people say a little weepage is good. How much is a little? So do you have the right water pump? Problem number four, radiator problems. Is your radiator plugged? How old is the coolant? Are you getting adequate airflow across the radiator and condenser assembly? Now, normally, the three things that get replaced when somebody has an overheating problem are the radiator cap, the thermostat, and then the radiator. And of course, they're going to put an aluminum radiator in because that's going to cool better. Well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. However, it might actually fix your problem, but it's just a Band-Aid. It's good enough to fix your cooling problem, but you had other problems and you just have a radiator that's flowing better. Because most of the time, don't you put a higher flow water pump and thermostat housing and radiator on when you replaced everything? Most likely you did. Next problem, carburetor tune. What's your air-fuel mixture? Is it lean? Do you have vacuum advance problems with your timing? Do you have an incorrect fuel curve and it's leaning out in certain places or overly rich in others? Carburetors need to be set up correctly. I can tell you, ignition timing and carburetors are way out of whack on many cars. People show up at car events and the car barely runs and they're bad-mouthing the carburetor manufacturer because they don't know how to make a carburetor. Well, they've made several billion over the years, so I'm sure they know how to do them. It's just the people don't know how to tune them. So, carburetor tuning. If you can't do it, Find somebody that can. It's getting more and more difficult to find. Now you say, well, I'm going to move to fuel injection. That'll fix my problem. Well, if that's part of your problem running lean, it probably will if you can richen it up. If you don't understand fuel curves with carburetors, doing fuel injection isn't going to make it any better. Hopefully you get an O2 system with feedback so that way you'll have some type of tuning for you. Diagnose before you replace parts. First off, does the engine cool down as the vehicle speed goes up? You've got an airflow problem. Second, does the temperature stabilize? If it's higher than normal but it's stabilized, it's probably a higher ambient temperature that day and it's just running a little bit warmer. The cooling system is still in control. There's no boil over. Is the coolant staying in the system? Well, that's important. Is it pushing out onto the ground? Is it pushing into the overflow jug, the degassing tank? If it's pressurizing and pushing out somewhere, you're overheating. Why? There's a problem there. Is the fan pulling enough air? Does the fan work? We've already gone over that. The clutch. Now, I know a lot of you are going to want to put electric fans on because that's going to fix it. Again, a Band-Aid. It may help some, but my next question will be, does your electrical system have the ability to withstand the amperage draw that's now been put on it when you add a fan or 2 fans? Some of these Mopars I have in the garage have 35 amp alternators. You get a fan that draws 12 amps, 8 amps when it's going. You put 2 of them on at 16 amps, you're halfway to the amount of amperage that entire alternator charging system can put out. Lastly, and my favorite, is the ignition timing correct? I would say no on many cars. Initial timing is too lazy, centrifugal advance is not enough, and you're not running vacuum advance in many cases. You've got a great setup for an overheating concern. So before you blame your radiator cap, and thermostat for your overheating problems, make sure you fix the other problems. Putting a new cap on is fairly inexpensive. Thermostat, a little more expensive with the coolant. Then you decide that's not helping, it's time for the aluminum radiator. The aluminum radiator is a Band-Aid. There's something else wrong unless your factory radiator is clogged. And your aluminum radiator probably won't have provisions for the factory shroud. But that's okay, you're going to put electric fans on. So now you're going to no longer have an electrical system that may be able to keep up. You're going to tax the system. Fix the problems before you start throwing all these parts at it. You may find when you get your timing correct, you get the shroud correct, you have the correct thermostat, and other things we discussed, you may fix your overheating concerns or your running warm concerns without having to spend all that money. If you enjoy learning about real engineering and separating it from myths, be sure to subscribe to Mopar Garage. I will continue this type of work, trying to get out good quality information rather than just wives' tales that many believe. So thank you for joining Mopar Garage. I'm the professor. I'll see you next week.